Welcome back. Welcome back. The law, this is Exodus 21. We'll read to Exodus 25. The law concerning slaves. These are the ordinances that you shall set before them. When you buy a male Hebrew slave, he shall serve 6 years, but in the 7th, he shall go out a free person without debt. If he comes in single, he shall go out single. If he comes in married, then his wife shall go out with him. If his master gives him a wife, and she bears him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her master's, and he shall go out alone. But if the slave declares, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out a free person, then his master shall bring him before God. He shall be brought to the door or the doorpost, and his master shall pierce his ear with an awl, and he shall serve him for life. When a man sells his daughter as a slave, she shall not go out as the male slaves do. If she does not please her master, who designated her for himself, then he shall let her be redeemed. He shall have no right to sell her to a foreign people, since he has dealt unfairly with her. If she does not please her master, who designated her for himself, then he shall let her be redeemed. He shall have no right to sell her to a foreign people, since he has dealt unfairly with her. If he designates her for his son, he shall deal with her as with a daughter. If he takes another wife to himself, he shall not diminish the food, clothing, or marital rights of the first wife. And if he does not do these 3 things for her, she shall go out without debt, without payment of money. The law concerning violence. Whoever strikes a person mortally shall be put to death. If it was not premeditated, it came about by an act of God, then I will appoint for you a place to which the killer may flee. But if someone willfully attacks and kills another by treachery, you shall take the killer from my altar for execution. Whoever strikes father or mother shall be put to death. Whoever kidnaps a person, whether that person has been sold or is still held in possession, shall be put to death. Whoever curses father or mother shall be put to death. When individuals quarrel and one strikes the other with a stone or fist so that the injured party, though not dead, is confined to bed, but recovers and walks around outside with the help of a staff, then the assailant shall be free of liability, except to pay for the loss of time and to arrange for full recovery. When a slave owner strikes a male or female slave with a rod and the slave dies immediately, the owner shall be punished. But if the slave survives a day or 2, there is no punishment, for the slave is the owner's property. When people who are fighting injure a pregnant woman so that there is a miscarriage, and yet no further harm follows, the one responsible shall be fined what the woman's husband demands, paying as much as the judges determine. If any harm follows, then you shall give life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, stripe for stripe. When a slave owner strikes the eye of a male or a female slave, destroying it, the owner shall let the slave go, a free person, to compensate for the eye. If the owner knocks out a tooth of a male or female slave, the slave shall be let go, a free person, to compensate for the tooth. Laws concerning property. When an ox gores a man or a woman to death, the ox shall be stoned, and his flesh shall not be eaten, but the owner of the ox shall not be liable. If the ox has been accustomed to gore in the past, and its owner has been warned but has not restrained it, and it kills a man or a woman, the ox shall be stoned, and his owner also shall be put to death. If a ransom is imposed on the owner, then the owner shall pay whatever is imposed for the redemption of the victim's life. If it gores a boy or a girl, the owner shall be dealt with according to the same rule. If the ox gores a male or female slave, the owner shall pay to the slave owner 30 shekels of silver, and the ox shall be stoned. If the ox gores a male or female slave, the owner shall pay to the slave owner 30 shekels of silver, and the ox shall be stoned. That reminds me of Jesus for some reason. Judah betrayed Jesus for 30 shekels of silver. And this is saying if the ox gores a male or female slave, the owner shall pay to the slave owner 30 shekels of silver, and the ox shall be stoned. If someone leaves a pit open or digs a pit and does not cover it, and an ox or a donkey falls into it, the owner of the pit shall make restitution, giving money to its owner, but keeping the dead animal. If someone's ox hurts the ox of another, so that it dies, then they shall sell the live ox and divide the price of it, and the dead animal they shall also divide. But if it was known that the ox was accustomed to gore in the past and its owner has not restrained it, the owner shall restore ox for ox, but keep the dead animal. Exodus 22, laws of restitution. When someone steals an ox or sheep and slaughters it or sells it, the thief shall pay 5 oxen for an ox and 4 sheep for a sheep. Wow. The thief shall make restitution, but if unable to do so, shall be sold for the theft. So the thief will be sold. When the animal, whether ox or donkey or sheep, is found alive in the thief's possession, the thief shall pay double. So if the thief can't pay, then the thief is sold for the theft, right? If a thief is found breaking in and is beaten to death, no blood guilt is incurred. This is kind of like if somebody's breaking into your home, you have a right to shoot them or prevent them from prevent them from well, they're an intruder in your home, right? So I guess the idea is if they're an intruder in your home, they're not supposed to be there. And so self-defense works in your favor. But I don't think if you leave that person alive and they escape, they could sue you for injury, something like that. Um, I have to look at those laws, right, around protecting yourself in your own home. I've done some gun training, and in gun training, they inform you of your rights around firearms, and they talk about, what you should or should not do if somebody does break into your house and you have a weapon. It's good training. It's good to know what your rights are. When someone causes a field or vineyard to be grazed over, or its livestock loose to graze in someone else's field, restitution shall be made from the best in the owner's field or vineyard. When fire breaks out and catches in thorns, so that the stacked grain or the standing grain or the field is consumed, the one who started the fire shall make full restitution. When someone delivers to a neighbor money or goods for safekeeping, and they are stolen from the neighbor's house, then the thief, if caught, shall pay double. If the thief is not caught, the owner of the house shall be brought before God to determine whether or not the owner had laid hands on the neighbor's goods. In any case of disputed ownership involving ox, donkey, sheep, clothing, or any other loss of which one party says, "This is mine," The case of both parties shall come before God. The one whom God condemns shall pay double to the other. So remember, this is during the time when the Ark of the Covenant was there, the tent of meeting was there, and a lot of pain had been taken to set up a space where you could come and bring your affairs to God. And I believe this was after, this may have been after, I'll have to check because I did go on and read Leviticus. It's just not on this computer. My computer is not working. But what it says is, but in reading Exodus, I believe that this is after the tent of meeting has been made, you know. So people were able to bring their issues directly to God by going to the tent of meeting and bringing their issue to God for God to judge you. When someone delivers to another donkey, ox, sheep, or any other animal for safekeeping and it dies or is injured or is carried off without anyone seeing it, an oath before the Lord shall decide between the two of them that the one has not laid hands on the property of the other. The owner shall accept the oath, and no restitution shall be made. An oath before the Lord shall decide between the two of them that the one has not laid hands on the property of the other. So they basically have to swear by the Lord that the one person did not take their property. The owner shall accept the oath, and no restitution shall be made because he made that oath before the Lord. But if it was stolen, restitution shall be made to its owner. If it was mangled by beasts, let it be brought as evidence. Restitution shall not be made for the mangled remains. When someone borrows an animal from another and it is injured or dies, the owner not being present, full restitution shall be made. If the owner was present, there shall be no restitution. If it was hired, only the hiring fee is due. Social and religious laws. When a man seduces a virgin who is not engaged to be married and lies with her, he shall give the bride price for her and make her his wife. But if her father refuses to give her to him, he shall pay an amount equal to the bride price for virgins. You shall not permit a female sorcerer to live. Whoever lies with an animal shall be put to death. Whoever sacrifices to any god other than the Lord alone shall be devoted to destruction. So female sorcerers are not allowed to live. Interesting. So I would like to know what a sorcerer is. What's the difference? What is a sorcerer in the Bible? Sorcerer is an attempt to bypass God's wisdom and power and give glory to Satan instead. God has no tolerance for sorcery. Much of this is going to be opinion. Sorcery, noun, magic, enchantment, witchcraft, divination, be the assistance of evil spirits by the power of commanding evil spirits. Historically, the word sorcery alone. Let's look at the word sorcery then. Sorcery definition. The use of magic, specifically black magic. The use of power gained from the assistance or control of evil spirits, especially for divining, necromancy, divining. Sorcery is more about raw power, usually channeled through some focal point like a magical object. Wizardry doesn't rely on magical objects as much, but there is more emphasis on learning, research, and understanding of the nuance of magic. Witches, warlocks are usually people who bargain for their power. Oh, okay. In a way, I think I understand. So if you bargain to get a power, who are you bargaining with? So that sounds like it's a possibility that you could, you know, give up parts of yourself to to learn black magic and things like that. I'm not interested in those kinds of things. Not interested in sorcery or black magic. In contrast, when you're praying and you're asking for the blessing of the Lord, you know, it does not have that feeling of woo woo magic to it. You know, it has this feeling of constancy, you know, consistency. Yeah. Let's keep going. You shall not wrong or oppress a resident alien, for you are aliens in the land of Egypt. You shall not abuse any widow or orphan. If you do abuse them, and they cry out to me, I will surely heed their cry. My wrath will burn, and I will kill you with the sword, and your wives shall become widows, and your children orphans. Oh, wow. If you lend money to my people, to the poor among you, you shall not deal with them as a creditor. You shall not exact interest from them. So don't exact interest from the poor. They have very little. If you take your neighbor's cloak and pawn, you shall restore it before the sun goes down, for it may be your neighbor's only clothing to use as cover. And what else shall that person sleep? So if you're down on your luck and so is your neighbor and you borrow something from them, restore it to them the same day so that they won't be without their own stuff. Mm. And what else shall that person sleep? And if your neighbor cries out to me, I will listen, for I am compassionate. If your neighbor cries out to me, I will listen, for I am compassionate. You see that? You shall not revile God or curse a leader of your people. You shall not delay to make offerings from the fullness of your harvest. You shall not delay to make offerings from the fullness of your harvest and from the outflow of your presses. You shall not make delay to make offerings from the fullness of your harvest and from the outflow of your presses. The firstborn of your sons you shall give to me. You shall do the same with your oxen and with your sheep. 7 days it shall remain with its mother. On the 8th day you shall give it to me. The first, so your firstborn child. I know on the 8th day, you're supposed to, the 8th day after your child is born, you circumcise your child, your male child. And I think that's what that means when he says you give your child to me. You circumcise your child and you sacrifice an ox and a sheep. 7 days it shall remain with his mother. On the 8th day you shall give it to me. You shall be people consecrated to me. Therefore you shall not eat any meat that is mangled by beasts in the field. You shall throw it to the dogs. Exodus 23, justice for all. You shall not spread a false report. You shall not join hands with the wicked to act as a malicious witness. Also, no lying. And don't join hands with the wicked to act as a malicious witness. You shall not follow a majority in wrongdoing. When you bear witness in a lawsuit, you shall not side with the majority so as to pervert justice, nor shall you be partial to the poor in a lawsuit. So you need to be fair and impartial in law. When you come upon your enemy's ox or donkey going astray, you shall bring it back. When you see the donkey of one who hates you lying under its burden, and you would hold back from setting it free, you must help to set it free. Do the uncommon thing. Do the uncommon thing. Be extraordinary in that moment, even with your enemies. You shall not pervert the justice due to your poor in their lawsuits. Keep far from a false charge, and do not kill the innocent and those in the right, for I will not acquit the guilty. You shall take no bribe, for a bribe blinds the officials and subverts the cause of those who are in the right. So take no bribes. You shall not oppress a resident alien. You know the heart of an alien, for you were aliens in the land of Egypt. You know the heart of the alien, for you were aliens in the land of Egypt. It's really beautiful, like the similarity. You have a similarity in your experience to these people who are also suffering, or oppressed. You have similar experiences to relate to. Sabbatical year and Sabbath. For 6 years you shall sow your land and gather in its yield. But the 7th year you shall let it rest and lie fallow, so that the poor of your people may eat, and what they leave the wild animals may eat. 7th year you shall let it rest and lie fallow. I want to look up that word fallow. Keeps changing my search to Yahoo search. Fallow, a farmland plowed and harrowed, but left unsown for a period in order to restore its fertility as part of a crop rotation or to avoid surplus production. Okay. So this is where it's been plowed before and harrowed, but it was left unsown for a period of time to restore its fertility. Okay. So that the poor of your people may eat. So that's called gleaning too. Like when a person is, when after the crop is left, it has some stuff left. The poor can go into the crops and glean and just take of what's left, to feed themselves. I don't know that they do things like that for the poor anymore. I don't think they do because we don't live the same kind of lifestyles that these people live. And what they leave, the wild animals may eat. You shall do the same with your vineyard and with your olive orchard. 6 days you shall do your work, but on the 7th day you shall rest, so that your ox and your donkey may have relief, and your homeborn slave and the resident alien may be refreshed. 6 days you shall do your work, but on the 7th day you shall rest, so that your ox and your donkey may have relief, and your homeborn slave and the resident alien may be refreshed. Be attentive to all that I have said to you. Do not invoke the names of other gods. Do not let them be heard on your lips. Annual festivals. 3 times in a year you shall hold a festival for me. You shall observe the festival of unleavened bread, as I commanded you. You shall eat unleavened bread for 7 days at the appointed time in the month of Abib, for in it you came out of Egypt. So the festival of unleavened bread. No one shall appear before me empty-handed. You shall observe the festival of the harvest of the first fruits of your labor of what you sow in the field. So the festival of harvest, which is the first fruits of your labor. Sorry. I'm like bouncing around between this and thoughts about my backyard because I really want to make gardens back there. You shall observe the festival of harvest of the first fruits of your labor of what you sow in the field. You shall observe the festival of ingathering at the end of the year. So the festival of ingathering, the festival of harvest, and the festival of unleavened bread. At the end of the year, when you gather in from the field the fruit of your labor, 3 times in a year all your males shall appear before the Lord God. 3 times in a year my males shall appear before the Lord God. You shall not offer the blood of my sacrifice with anything leavened, or let the fat of my festival remain until the morning. The choices of the first fruits of your ground you shall bring into the house of the Lord your God. You shall not boil a kid in its mother's milk. The conquest of Canaan promise. I'm going to send an angel in front of you to guard you on the way and to bring you to the place that I have prepared. Be attentive to him and listen to his voice. Do not rebel against him, for he will not pardon your transgression, for my name is in him. For my name is in him. That's so cool. Hearing that, be attentive to him and listen to his voice. Do not rebel against him, for he will not pardon your transgression, for my name is in him. To have a understanding of who the Lord is and to have the Lord's name like pressed into your heart, you pardon no one from transgression. You pardon no one. He's warning people, don't rebel against the angel that I'm sending you, because he does not pardon transgression, because my name is in him. Oh, that's so powerful, so beautiful. But if you listen attentively to his voice and do all that I say, because what the Lord's saying is coming from his mouth, then I will be an enemy to your enemies and a foe to your foes. When my angel goes in front of you and brings you to the Amorites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Canaanites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, and I blot them out. You shall not bow down to their gods or worship them or follow their practices, but you shall utterly demolish them and break their pillars in pieces. You shall worship the Lord God, and I will bless your bread and your water, and I will take sickness away from among you. No one shall miscarry or be barren in your land. I will fulfill the number of your days. I will send my terror in front of you and will throw into confusion all the people against whom you shall come. And I will make all your enemies turn their backs to you, and I will send the pestilence in front of you, which shall drive out the Hivites and Canaanites and the Hittites from before you. I will not drive them out from before you in 1 year, or the land would become desolate, and the wild animals would multiply against you. Little by little, I will drive them out from before you until you have increased and possessed the land. I will set your borders from the Red Sea to the Sea of the Philistines, and from the wilderness to the Euphrates. For I will hand over to you the inhabitants of the land, and you shall drive them out before you. You shall make no covenant with them and their gods. They shall not live in your land, or they will make you sin against me. For if you worship their gods, it will surely be a snare to you. So it sounds like the Lord really wants his people to be focused and centered on worship of him, and he does not want them to go astray by worshiping other things, other gods, joining other gods with him. That he's promising them the land if they follow his commands. Okay, following the land, promising them the land if they follow his commands. Like if they start bowing before other gods, an angel will not be there for them, right? Exodus 24, the blood of the covenant. Then he said to Moses, come up to the Lord, you and Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and worship at a distance. Moses alone shall come near the Lord, but the others shall not come near, and the people shall not come up with him. Moses came and told the people all the words of the Lord and all the ordinances. And the people answered with one voice and said, all the words that the Lord has spoken we will do. And Moses wrote down all the words of the Lord. He rose early in the morning and built an altar at the foot of the mountain and set up 12 pillars corresponding to the 12 tribes of Israel. He set young men of the people of Israel who offered burnt offerings and sacrificed oxen as offerings of well-being to the Lord. Moses took half of the blood and put it in basins, and half of the blood he dashed against the altar. Then he took the book of the covenant and read it in the hearing of the people. And they said, all that the Lord has spoken we will do, and we will be obedient. Moses took the blood and dashed it on the people and said, see the blood of the covenant the Lord that the Lord has made with you see the blood of the covenant that the Lord has made with you in accordance with these words. On the mountain with God. Then Moses and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel went up, and they saw the God of Israel. Under his feet there was something like a pavement of sapphire stone, like the very heaven for clearness. God did not lay his hand on the chief men of the people of Israel. Also, they beheld God, and they ate and drank. So at this point, all of the elders and Moses and Aaron, and it seems like Nadab and Abihu are related to Moses and Aaron. They saw the Lord. And under his feet, there was something like a pavement of sapphire stone, like the very heaven for clearness. Interesting. They ate and drank with the Lord. They beheld God and they ate and drank. So I don't think God ate and drank what they did. The Lord said to Moses, come up to me on the mountain and wait there, and I will give you the tablets of stone with the law and the commandment, which I have written for their instruction. So Moses set out with his assistant Joshua, and Moses went up into the mountain of God. To the elders he had said, wait here for us until we come to you again, for Aaron and Hur are with you. Whoever has a dispute may go to them. So they were judging the people, and they left Aaron in charge of judging while Moses went up on the mountain with his assistant Joshua. Then Moses went up on the mountain, and the cloud covered the mountain. The glory of the Lord settled on Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it for 6 days. On the 7th day, he called Moses out of the cloud. Now the appearance of the glory of the Lord was like a devouring fire on the top of the mountain in the sight of the people of Israel. Moses entered the cloud and went up on the mountain. Moses was on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. For some reason, that reminds me of the smoke from the wildfires, right? The glory of the Lord. Then Moses went up on the mountain, and the cloud covered the mountain. The glory of the Lord settled on Mount Sinai. Sounds a lot like the smoke and stuff from the wildfires. That's a cool thought that it would be the Lord sweeping through, but not really cool because people are losing a lot of their material possessions. But in a way, it still sounds like the Lord to me. I'm not saying those people deserve something happening to them or anything like that, the people that are being affected by the wildfires. But it's hard not to make those similarities, not to pick up on the similarities in those comparisons here with our modern life. Something that is relevant right now seems to fit this. Now the appearance of the glory of the Lord was like a devouring fire on the top of the mountain in the sight of the people of Israel. Moses entered the cloud and went up on the mountain. Moses was on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. Exodus 25, and this will be the last one I read for this. Offerings for the tabernacle. The Lord said to Moses, tell the Israelites to take for me an offering from all those whose hearts prompt them to give. Tell the Israelites to take for me an offering from all whose hearts prompt them to give. You shall receive the offering for me. So for all whose hearts prompt them to give, you shall receive the offering for me. This is the offering that you shall receive from them: gold, silver, and bronze, blue, purple, and crimson yarns, and fine linen, goat's hair, tanned ram skins, fine leather, acacia wood, oil for the lamps, spices for the anointing oil and for the fragrant incense, onyx stones, and gems to be set in the ephod and for the breastpiece, and have them make me a sanctuary so that I may dwell among them, in accordance with all that I show you concerning the pattern of the tabernacle and of all its furniture, so you shall make it. The Ark of the Covenant. Okay, I was talking about the Ark of the Covenant and how it's near them. No, they were just not hidden from God's sight. Because they were not hidden from God's sight, because they were not sinning, all of that was cleaned up, it appears, or they were cleaning that up. The Lord dwelled among them. The Lord could not yet dwell among them because they didn't have the Ark of the Covenant. But the Lord showed himself to them, to the elders, and he spoke to them. He was not hidden from their sight. So I feel like in modern times, the Lord is hidden from our sight, and also he does not dwell among us. And the reason why is because we sin and we don't ever repent from our sin. So my goal is to have the Lord present in my life as intended. And so I am repenting for my sins. I'm repenting for the sins that I committed. And I put together a 1-page sin dictionary. It has all the sins and what their definitions are for each one of those things. If you want a copy, I give them out for free. Let me know in the comments, and I will post the link. I'll put the link in the description so that way you can have your copy of the Sin Dictionary. So the Ark of the Covenant, they shall make an ark of acacia wood, and it shall be 2.5 cubits long. So I was wrong before when I said the Ark of the Covenant was with them. It wasn't with them yet. They were, but they were not hidden from the sight of the Lord. Which seemed like it would be a similar thing. With the Ark of the Covenant being in the tent of meeting, it means that the Lord is with them. The Lord dwells among them. His presence is around them. His glory is there. That's what that means. You shall overlay it with pure gold. Inside and outside you shall overlay it. And you shall make a molding of gold upon it all around. You shall cast 4 rings of gold for it and put them on its 4 feet, 2 rings on the one side of it and 2 rings on the other side. You shall make poles of acacia wood and overlay them with gold. And you shall put the poles into the rings on the sides of the ark by which to carry the ark. The poles shall remain in the rings of the ark. They shall not be taken from it. So you shall put into the ark the covenant that I shall give you. Then you shall make a mercy seat of pure gold. 2.5 cubits shall be its length, and 1.5 cubits its width. You shall make 2 cherubim of gold. You shall make them of hammered work at the 2 ends of the mercy seat. Make 1 cherub at the one end and 1 cherub at the other. With 1 piece with the mercy seat, you shall make the cherubim at its 2 ends. The cherubim shall bring out their wings above, overshadowing the mercy seat with their wings. They shall face one to another. The faces of the cherubim shall be turned away from the mercy seat, shall be turned toward the mercy seat. You shall put the mercy seat on the top of the ark, and in the ark you shall put the covenant that I shall give you. There I will meet with you, and from above the mercy seat, from between the two cherubim that are on the Ark of the Covenant, I will deliver to you all my commands for the Israelites. So he will dwell among them and provide the commands for the Israelites from the Ark of the Covenant. A table for the bread of the presence. You shall make a table of acacia wood, 2 cubits long and 1 cubit wide, and 1.5 cubits high. You shall overlay it with pure gold and make a molding of gold around it. You shall make around it a rim, a handbreadth wide, and a molding of gold around the rim. You shall make for it 4 rings of gold and fasten the rings to the 4 corners at its 4 legs. The rings that hold the poles used for carrying the table shall be close to the rim. You shall make the poles of acacia wood and overlay them with gold, and the table shall be carried with these. You shall make its plates and dishes for incense, and its flagons and bowls with which to pour drink offerings. You shall make them of pure gold, and you shall set the bread of the presence on the table from before me. And you shall set the bread of the presence on the table before me always. The lampstand. You shall make a lampstand of pure gold. The base and the shaft of the lampstand shall be made of hammered work. Its cups, its calyxes, and its pedestals shall be of one piece with it. And there shall be 6 branches going out of its sides. 3 branches of the lampstand out of one side of it, and 3 branches of the lampstand out of the other side of it. 3 cups shaped like almond blossoms, each with calyx and petals on the branch, and 3 cups shaped like almond blossoms, each with calyx and petals on the other branch. So for the 6 branches going out of the lampstand. On the lampstand itself, there shall be 4 cups shaped like almond blossoms, each with its calyxes and petals. There shall be a calyx of one piece with it under the first pair of branches, a calyx of one piece with it under the next pair of branches, and a calyx of one piece with it under the last pair of branches. So calyx. I don't know what that is. Branches. So for the 6 branches that go out of the lampstand, their calyxes and their branches shall be of one piece with it, the whole of it, 1 hammered piece of gold. You shall make the 7 lamps for it, and the lamps shall be set up so as to give light on the space in front of it. Its snuffers and trays shall be of pure gold. It and all these utensils shall be made from a talent of pure gold. And see that you make them according to the pattern for them, which is being shown you on the mountain. All right. So that's it for Exodus 21 through 25. I will be recording the next set of Exodus, which is 26 through 30, shortly. So I will see you on the other side.